Hello, everyone. I'm not going to talk to this slide. My boss, Steve Wyatt, mentioned a few things about it earlier. And you can Google catapults and find out about the whole family. I'd like to go on and talk straight away about MEIS. We're one part of 4 projects in Pembroke Dock Marine, and people are continually asking us what are the interdependencies between those 4, what happens if one drops out or is slow or isn't delivered properly. And the fact is there aren't much in the way of dependencies. What there are, as Joe mentioned, are very strong synergies. So I'd like to talk about the synergy between MEIS and particularly Meta, and I'll do that by contrasting with some of the stuff we do in Catapult. But first of all, I'll just give you a quick overview of what MEIS is and what it's going to do. We're involved with a collaboration with 4 universities, Swansea, who are in the City Deal region, Bangor, Cardiff and Cardiff Met, who are outside the City Deal region, and actually outside the WEFO funding zone, but nevertheless are key parts of what we want to deliver. And that's building on the old LCRI Marine legacy, key academics, key skills and expertise in the universities we want to bring through. Overall, it's a 5-year project, be about £11 million in eligible costs. We'll have 20 to 25 people in total, and about 17, 18 of those people will actually be based physically in Pembroke Dock. The idea is for us to carry out R&D projects on behalf of the industry, both developers and supply chain, but we're not a grant-giving body. So basically we can do work for free or cheaply using the resources that our funding provides for us, but we can't give you money to go and do your own thing. There'll be a little bit of commercialising academic work. We think there's a lot of academic outputs that don't go far enough. They end up sitting on a shelf somewhere. I think we will take some of those in this technology area and see if we can make a product or a service out of it that can be taken on by a Welsh company. And we'll do a bit with, everyone's been talking about sharing lessons learned, sharing knowledge. We'll be doing a bit of that as well. Very impressed to see what WES have got in terms of their knowledge library. I don't think we want to reinvent the wheel. We'll probably have a word with them and see if we can do something together and bring tidal into their wave energy. 2 ways we'll work with you. Reactive, I think, is a favourite thing. We really want industry, whether that's device developers or supply chains, to come to us with ideas that they either want to develop or they want to prove or they want to find a way of commercialising further. On a proactive basis, we do have some clever people, both at our main offices in Glasgow and Blyth. We do have clever people in the universities, all of whom have ideas that they think could make a difference, and we'll try and get those out. So we'll use our resources to get those ideas out into industry. But now I want to talk about the synergies that will make MEIS and Meta better than MEIS on its own or Meta on its own. And that follows through to a legacy. That follows through to a permanent presence of the 2 in Pembrokeshire after the grants that we're looking for run out. And that's really important. And I want to do it through the concept of capacity and capability. So what do I mean by those 2 terms? Capacity. In our test facilities in Blyth, just north of Newcastle, we can test offshore wind blades up to 100 metres long. Nobody makes one that long at the moment, but they're getting close. It's the longest test facility in the world at present. I don't know how, oh, you can see that. That's a 76-metre blade on a boat coming into Blyth. You really want to be moving those things around on boats. Taking that up the dual carriageway out of Newcastle would be no fun at all. So we can handle those. We can handle a 76-metre blade. Physically, we have the capacity to move those things around. On the far right-hand side, that's the blade attached to a large block of concrete. On the far left-hand side, that yellow device is making the blade rattle up and down for thousands of cycles. That's the capacity we have. But we also have capability. Until a while back, people would turn up with their blades at Blyth. They'd say, here's a blade, here's a test schedule. We'd run the test schedule, give them the results, and off they'd go. We don't really do that, no. When they turn up and they say, here's a test schedule, we say, well, We could do that, or we could do this. Dual-axis blade testing. At the moment, well, previously, I should say, blades were tested by waggling them up and down, a bit like an aircraft wing. Problem with offshore turbines is they also see this kind of movement, this edgewise movement. And we would do those tests one after the other. Now, we do them at the same time. A lot more difficult than it sounds. But basically, it waggles around in something like a figure of 8. It's more realistic. It's what the blades actually see. It's shorter. We can get more tests in, cheaper to the customer, more throughput for us, means a bit more revenue for us. And we're not for profit, but if we can generate income, we can spend that supporting the industry further. So that's important for us. It's also a nice story, because the whole technique was developed by a PhD student that we sponsored, who then became a KTP associate with us and is now a full-time employee. So that's a good story for us. More capability. We know the offshore wind industry has a real problem with leading-edge erosion of the blades. We've got materials expertise. We've also got this trusted third-party status, so people are willing to tell us what their problems really are. They know that we'll help solve them, that we won't try and use that as leverage against them. We also have huge expertise in designing, building, and operating test rigs. So we now have a test rig for blade erosion. There's a bit of technology push and a bit of market pull, because we can have people coming to us saying, we've got a solution for this. We need to tell the industry that it works. So we can test that solution in our rig. But it's also market pull, because this is entirely put in place because the industry says it's a real problem for us. So we get a bit of money out of it, but crucially, now that we've got that facility, we can use it as the basis of bids for further research funding, whether it's pure academic research or whether it's industrial research. So we generate a lot of income and a lot of outcomes around that piece of test equipment. A key point for Meta, as I'll come on to. So how does that feed through to Meta and Meese? Well, let's say Meta brings capacity. As Joe said, a consented licensed site, fully characterized, easy access for our clients, cheap, it's efficient use of resources. They can bring their own test schedule, they can bring their own people, they can do their tests, take the results and go home. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Meese isn't necessary. Meta is a fantastic resource just as it is. There'll be lots of times when developers want to do something that's so sensitive they don't want to share anything. Fine. There'll be loads of times when they're doing a test that they've done many times before, they understand the waterway and how to use it, they don't need the complication of working with Meese. Absolutely fine. And there'll be times when they don't really know what they're doing and they just want to splash about in the water and, and see what happens. And that's absolutely fine. But what we can bring as Meese is a bit of capability. A lot of that capability is simply having manpower that's always there, that's always working with the same people going into the same areas. We can ask questions like, are you doing the right test at the right time? And we know historically, particularly with wave energy, people went into the water far too soon. So we can draw on that experience from all around the UK, from all around Europe, and we can ask the question, are you doing the right test? More importantly, could they do a bit better on that test? If somebody's going to go into the Haven waterway and do a series of tests, they'll almost certainly be focused on what they really need to do. They'll have a whole list of nice-to-haves, things they would do if they had a bit more resource or a bit more time. Well, we can bring that extra resource, potentially at no cost to them, and we can enhance what they're doing. A 10% increase in the resources added to their test, more sensors, different sensors, more characterization of the environment that they're in. You can learn a huge amount more. So we can add that little bit extra. Do they understand test results? Some companies will. Some companies will be advanced enough they don't need any help at all. Others, if they don't get the results that they expect, they'll need help in analysing those results. And that's where our university partners will come in. There's huge expertise in taking the vast amounts of data and turning it into useful knowledge. And are they learning from past mistakes? Again, if you have the same cohort of people working in the Haven Waterway with various clients, learning and transferring knowledge between them, you get a bigger bang for your buck. You reduce risks, you reduce the chance you're going to make a stupid mistake. And again, our trusted third-party status. If we're talking about supply chain companies demonstrating products that could be part of a sub-assembly, we can offer verification and validation. That's verification that it actually does what it says on the tin, and validation that the customers actually value what that does. And we can do a bit of marketing for you. Fortunately, that's the end of my presentation.